This is a continuation of my content pertaining to a Pontiac heathen that abandoned her children, coming up 6 years now, in a townhome condo. She has a total of 4 children. One of the children was living with his biological father. 3 were left alone in this condo. I believe it's a 3-bedroom condo. Very nice area in Pontiac, Michigan. This is very disturbing information, and I'm sure many of you have seen the photographs that are circulating online pertaining to the conditions of the home, the restroom, and throughout the house. I'm going to show you a picture of the defendant before we hear the press conference and the update pertaining to the children and the charging document against Miss Kelly Marie Bryant. Here, social media post and mugshot. She has been charged with 3 counts of child abuse of her 3 children left alone for several years inside of a condo. Let's hear the said information. Thank you for joining me. This is live number 2, everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming and thank you for your patience. My name is David Williams. I'm the Chief Assistant here at the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office. Standing here with us are Assistant Prosecutor Kanika Ferenczi, Assistant Prosecutor Lauren Benninger, Chief of our Special Victims Unit Sarah Green, our Chief of Administration Betsy Haig, and of course Prosecutor McDonald. We're also joined by detectives who've been involved in the case from the Oakland County Sheriff's Office. That's Lieutenant Sam Marsban and Detective John Brish. Prosecutor McDonald will announce the charging decision today and take your questions. But before she does that, I want to remind everyone that charges are only allegations, and the defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. Also, the details in the prosecutor's remarks today come from the swear to in 50th District Court earlier today. Prosecutor McDonald.
Thank you. Good afternoon. First, I'd like to announce that we have authorized 3 charges of first-degree child abuse against Kelly Bryant, a 34-year-old resident of Pontiac. My office has already advised the court in the neglect proceedings that we will be asking to terminate the defendant's parental rights. In every case of child abuse, my office focuses first and foremost on the best interest of the child or children and on holding those responsible for abuse accountable. The 3 children in this case suffered unimaginable abuse and neglect over a long period of time. Thankfully, they've now been rescued from that, and our first priority has been and will continue to be their safety and well-being. I want to briefly address, though, why we're here. Since the first announcement over the weekend by the sheriff, this case has captured the attention of the people across our community, our county, our state, and even internationally, because people are rightfully concerned about the welfare of these children. And we're holding this press conference because, like all other decisions, we balance the interests of public safety, media attention and inquiries, and balancing everyone's right to a fair trial, which is why the events and facts that are disclosed here today are strictly confined to what's already been placed on the record in the swear to this morning in the 50th District Court.
I want to buy your house.
All right, brief intermission. 3 counts of child abuse for the 3 children left in the condo in Pontiac, Michigan. Kelly Marie Bryant is now in the county jail, as she should be. Amen.
Public, including the photos of the home. Although law enforcement did not identify the defendant, she was quickly identified on social media and also has been reported in other news media outlets, which is why we are naming her today. We have recently, luckily, been fortunate enough to, for the first time ever, hire our public information officer, Jeff Watrick, who's in the back of the room. Many of you have already spoken to and will continue to, and we're lucky to have him.
Interesting.
The children are currently staying with a relative. All 3 children received immediate medical attention at a local hospital.
Who is the relative?
Interviewed by trained forensic interviewers at Care House. Considering what they've experienced, they
very crazy.
Doing okay.
That they had a phone
Obviously,
each.
Trauma here is significant, and my office, including our victim services section, will make sure these children are supported during this process. Today, the charges are 3 counts of child abuse in the first degree. This is the most serious charged for child abuse, and if convicted, Ms. Bryant could face a sentence of up to life in prison.
Life in prison.
In the swear-to this morning,
Wow.
on the record, it was stated that in 2019, suspect Kelly Bryant was living at the home, but I'm not disclosing the address at this time, in Pontiac, Michigan.
Why not?
With 4 children. At some point between 20 and 2021, the suspect moved out of her home, leaving 3 of her children abandoned in that location, while 1 of her children went to live with their father. On February 14th, 2025, police were called to the home by the landlord. Police learned.
Before we get into that, the landlord calling here recently, where I have a problem, once again, besides the obvious, why is one child living with his father? What is it about that custody issue that went to court in 2022 led to this father wanting partial custody of his child? Did he see signs that his child was being neglected? Did the child tell him things about what was going on as well as another residence that was also filthy? Because you just don't wake up doing this type of behavior. What if we find out that she's always lived filthy, nasty, and it exacerbated once she decided to leave the children alone for several years? Where has she been staying? Why won't you all tell us where she's been staying? Who was she staying with? How was she paying bills at that address? Does she have a car? Make it make sense. Make it make sense, because I don't understand nothing that I've been hearing. Nothing. And the fact that the kids are with a relative, I ain't on board with that either. Because she was all over social media for years, posting herself with her fucking lace front wigs, minus her children. And you mean to tell me nobody asks, hey, where are your kids? Where are your kids? Come on now. Please check out my earlier live, because I'm repeating the same damn thing I said in that live. This is all bullshit.
Learned that the landlord was concealment, who had not paid rent on the property since October of 2024. Police entered with the landlord and discovered her 3 children, ages 12, 13, and 15. Her daughters were hiding in a bathroom that was filled with feces, piles of trash, and completely non-functional, while her son was hiding in another room. Police were astonished to find anyone in the location because it appeared to be uninhabitable, with piles of garbage and refuse several feet high, including large amounts of human excrement. The children were afraid to come out of their hiding places and to speak with the police. Police had to repeatedly advise the children that they were there to help and they were safe. The children's bodies and clothing were covered in feces, and the girls had difficulty physically walking outside of the residence.
Wow.
In addition to the physical difficulty, they appeared to be and were immediately overstimulated upon leaving the residence.
If you're curious to why the girls could not walk, it has been said in articles that the children had very long toenails, which obviously have not been cut in years. So that's why the girls had problems walking. Don't know if it also applies to the boy as well. 12, 13, 15, the boy is the oldest.
All 3 children were transported via ambulance to the hospital and showed signs of severe neglect. At the hospital, the children struggled with completing basic hygiene tasks like flushing a toilet and brushing their teeth because they had not done it in years.
Lord have mercy.
The children were forensically interviewed and described having virtually no physical contact with their mother, suspect Bryant, or the outside world in several years. The girls had not left the residence in several years, and her son had only left the home to go into the yard approximately 2 times, never venturing away from the house more than to check the mailbox. During his interview, her son stated that he would text their mother when their food supply was running low, and she would have food delivered to the residence.
This is where people are going to be utterly confused. Each child had a cell phone, so they were texting the mother. Why didn't the children text someone for help? Help us, please. We're stuck in here. We can't go anywhere. We're nasty. We're filthy. We don't have running water. We don't have access to a toilet, a bathtub. We're using the restroom here in the house without toilet paper. We don't have soap. We can't wash our clothes. Our mother has left us. Why didn't these kids reach out to someone? Now, what you have to ask yourself, did they have phones that work off a telephone number or Wi-Fi? Which is it? An actual number that you could ring and call, receive phone calls, texts, or only through Messenger? Very important. But still, these kids knew somebody in the world. Why didn't they try to contact somebody to say, please help us, we need help, come to this address. We need food, we need water, we need to use the bathroom. This is bullshit. Literally. I'm angry as hell because this don't make no damn sense, because too many people had to have had knowledge that something was not right at this address.
Children shared that during the years they were concealed in the home, their suspect Bryant failed to provide toilet paper, soap, or shampoo. The defendant instructed the kids that they were not to answer the door or leave the house. All three children expressed fear about what their mothers would be if they left the home. Defendant concealed the children from family and friends and lied about who was caring for the kids and their whereabouts. The defendant took the active steps of lying and concealing to make sure the children went undiscovered, and she took these actions knowing that her children would suffer serious physical and emotional harm as a result. Those are the statements made in the swear-to this morning. Again, these are allegations. I do want to point out and thank all the officers that were on scene that day. I personally viewed the videos and images and was struck at what a difficult situation it was, but in the face of that difficulty, offered compassion to these kids. I also want to thank Detective John Grish and Lieutenant Sam Marsban for their dedication in working this case. And of course, the assistant prosecutors involved, Chief of Administration Betsy Haig, Chief of our SVU Sarah Green, APA Lauren Benninger, Chief of the Juvenile Division Kelly Collins, and APA Kanika Ferenczi for their diligent efforts in this case. At present, we've not been presented with a request for criminal charges against any other individuals. That does not mean that won't happen in the future. I just can't speak to it at this point. Morally, there is plenty of responsibility to go around for how this was allowed to happen. However, these three kids were entrusted to the care of their mother, Kelly Bryant, and the evidence suggests that she effectively abandoned them to a revolting pit of refuse and squalor. There must be consequences for those actions. The defendant is presently in custody. The three children in this case were interviewed at Care House, and I want to emphasize how important Care House is to this community. These kids were interviewed in a safe environment by an experienced, trained forensic interviewer, and these interviews are important in all child abuse cases. They allow each child the chance to tell us their story without the influence of the abuser and without using leading questions that could taint their testimony. I can't emphasize enough how important Care House is. If you suspect a child is abused or neglected, you too can report this to CPS. The hotline is 855-444-3911. And I urge anyone who suspects that a child is being abused or neglected to report that using that number. We need to make sure that every child is safe and well cared for. And before I take questions, I just want to remind you that these charges, again, are only allegations, and the defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty.
Oh, they don't look like allegations. This ain't your typical he said, she said.
Neighbors, anybody? I mean, I think what maybe people struggle with is how intimidated by their mother, yes, but how they could not even venture out of the home, or just nobody knowing that they were there. Or can you add context into, how that can happen?
I can only comment on what's been placed on the record. That's my ethical duty. But I will say that we see time and time again, victims of severe abuse of all ages make decisions that don't seem reasonable to us. And what we know is that that's very common. And there's a multitude of reasons why they didn't leave the home. We just don't know that yet. Yes.
Yes, they feared her.
Prosecutors or deputies interviewed the fathers of the children?
They have. Yes.
Multiple fathers or one father?
I think it's already public record that of the four kids, there are two fathers.
Prosecutor McDowell,
Yes.
What stands out about this case to you? I mean, it's a pretty significant child abuse case.
Brief intermission. Two fathers. One child was living with his father. Why? Because they went to court in 22 She was telling the judge she couldn't take care of the kid and herself. I'm going to bring you that commentary after this video plays. But there's a lot to this story I'm sure that we don't know yet, naturally. And there's more to it, of course, because you have to ask yourself, why did she go to court for the one child? I'm assuming that child is the youngest child out of these three. Where does that child live? Is that child being taken care of well? And why did the father want custody of that child or split custody?
That's a difficult question and a really good question. You know, I said yesterday, and I said this to the sheriff recently, we say a lot, this is the worst I've ever seen. And I've stopped saying that because every time I say that, I see something worse. It was unbelievable what they were living with for years. Unbelievable. It wouldn't be surroundings where you would want any living creature living, and creature or animal, or particularly human beings. I mean, these kids, not to have even basic hygiene tools. And I guess what stands out the most for me is no love. There was nobody there to care for them for
exactly
between 3 and 4 years. No parent, nobody physically present to let them know that they were safe and they were loved. Yes.
Did she have any prior contact with CPS or prior criminal record?
I can't comment on that.
Is she being held on any outstanding charges, or is it just on this and then she'll be arraigned tomorrow?
Well, people want to know any complaints against her from neighbors, schoolhouses, relatives. We do know she went to court at one point in 2022. So as I said before, what was that all about? How did they end up in court for that child, the child that currently lives with his father? She has a total of 4 children, allegedly. Only 3 were found in this squalor home, the squalor. So why was the other child not living with her? Why did she go to court to say she could barely take care of her kids? This will lead me to believe that that was her last child, and perhaps the father saw signs that something wasn't right with her. Maybe treatment of the boy. Maybe the boy went and told her things or told things to the school or whomever, and it went to court. The situation went to court, so she had to tell the judge, hey, I'm struggling. I'm barely making ends meet. I've got 3 other kids. And something came about for her to go to court with that one kid, and I do believe that's possibly her last kid. That's why she doesn't have that kid in her custody. And hell, she just said, the hell with these other 3. I'm gone. Deuces. I'll feed you when I want to feed you, but that's it. No personal hygiene products, laundry detergent, toilet paper, nothing. I don't know how she thought this was going to pan out, but she did good to go more than 4 or 5 years doing this. So she got away with this for some time, because if you can go 5 years neglecting your kids and leave them alone in a house for 5 fucking years, that's a long ass time. You know, that's longer than a month. That's longer than 2 weeks. You're talking about leaving kids unattended in filth from 21 up until the landlord deciding to put the key in the damn door, call authorities because he ain't been getting no rent. And I will say this to anyone that rents homes, properties to people. You need to start checking on your properties. Just because people are not calling you with a maintenance, you need to check your property. You need to drive by your property. You need to look and see how it looks on the outside. You need to walk around and make sure everything looks okay. There aren't broken windows, roofing issues, leaks. That's what you should do in order to keep your money coming in your pocket, and you don't have to spend extra money down the road when some SHIT pop out such as this. This place is going to have to be gutted, as I said in my last live this morning. This is a total gut job. And this landlord has with himself, because you should have been asking to check things out. I don't care if it was every 3 months. Just say, hey, I just need to make entry into your apartment to make sure everything is looking okay, ceiling, roofing, whatever. It's not to invade your privacy, but it's just to make sure I keep everything, you know, above board. Had this person went in that property at some point, we wouldn't be here today. It probably would still be a story, but you understand what I'm saying. It could have been at least years ago, not 2025.
We are not aware of
Hey,
any
Flora.
other holds or matters that she would be held under. At this moment, she's being held because of these pending charges. Now they're official, and she'll be arraigned, I believe, tomorrow.
Can you provide more context to what you said about, you mentioned that he would text his mother, one of the older boy. So he had access to a phone apparently, but.
All the children had access to the phones. They all had their own phones.
So can you,
Unbelievable.
I read an account that maybe she dropped some food off weekly, or can you talk about how they survived if they didn't leave the home, how often she came and where she was staying?
There was no, according to the evidence that's been placed on the record, there was no physical contact whatsoever. And I don't think it's accurate to say that they had food dropped off weekly. Sometimes, right. Sometimes it was longer than that.
Wow, wow, wow.
No,
Loaf of bread. Loaf of bread for a couple of days.
Restroom was not. So he said the restroom was not maybe properly
Vicious.
functioning in there. But do we know if there was heat or air conditioning in the summer?
I don't have that. That has not been put on the record. But I do not believe that there was. I believe there was heat enough so that
Because they had to play video games and watch TV, so they had to have electricity.
if not, as you know, given the cold temperatures, there would have been signs of freezing to death.
Where was she staying?
I don't have that information. Not there.
And obviously you've charged her, so she thinks I'm assuming that obviously there's competence.
Well, the police knows where she was
So that
staying.
if there's ever a reason for something of this horrific nature, but any inferences to the why that she just decided to abandon her kids beyond, some may think mental issues, but obviously not if you're charging her.
Right. Without commenting particularly on this case, as the prosecutor over 4 years, I've been asked, and I hear repeatedly that question on all of the terrible, violent, atrocious acts that we see. The why, and the answer is we don't know why. We can't get in the mind of somebody else, but we do know what the evidence shows, and we have the law, and nobody who is not found competent can stand trial. So I can't comment on that right now, but just to say that sometimes there isn't a why. Yes.
Of course, there's no why. Whether they find out she's got something mentally wrong, bipolar, whatever, it's not going to matter. My thing is, once you go to social media, people don't really care. When you can post stuff to social media, rant, rave, blab, nobody cares what you have wrong with you mentally. And we know there are a lot of people who are mentally defective that have access to cell phones and they go extreme. Trust me, the stories I could tell you, honey. But in the end, this is extreme. So nobody's going to care about what happened to her when she was 5 years old and how many problems she had raising her kids alone and no boyfriend, no baby daddy, no husband. Well, this is a reason why you keep your legs closed and you stop procreating children, knowing you're not married, you don't have a husband, you don't have a significant other. Same thing for the men. Stop putting your penises inside of vaginas, knowing that the woman could get pregnant, and you are going to have to you're going to have to stand account as being the father and help take care of your damn children. Point blank.
I can't comment on that.
Is mom been cooperative?
The defendant has an absolute right to remain silent, so any comment I would make on whether or not she's spoken to the police would be a violation of her rights.
Thank you.
Ain't this a blip?
Longer term, can you share what the plan is for the children? Some may wonder if family have taken them in now, how they didn't know. I'm not trying to assess blame by asking, but where were they prior? How did they not know?
We can give blame.
Right.
There are a lot of questions.
Good question. The thing that I want to stress here is that we are responsible for prosecuting all of the criminal cases in this county. We're also responsible for representing the Department of Health and Human Services in child abuse and neglect proceedings. So we are simultaneously prosecuting the criminal case against mom and the neglect proceeding pertaining to the kids. So we will be asking our client, the Department of Health and Human Services, to file a petition to terminate her rights.
Good.
There's just a lot we can't really get into, except I do want to say that our client, the Department of Health and Human Services, their number one priority is the care and welfare of children. Due diligence to make sure that is a safe placement. And all I can say is that those questions were asked and obviously satisfied. And the other thing I want to say is there's been such an outpouring in this community, but I would just stress that in the effort to take care of these kids, that we also protect their privacy. And Pontiac, if those of you who don't know, it's a small place and everybody knows everybody. And any outrage is totally understandable, but we want to do as much as we can to protect their placement so that they are protected.
But to be clear, they are not wards of the state. They are with family.
They are in the care and custody of the Department of Health and Human Services, and they are placed through DHHS with a relative placement. Yes, the custody remains with DHHS until otherwise determined by the court. And again, those are two direct, different proceedings. Yes, that we are, there was a preliminary hearing yesterday, and we'll continue to provide information about that as that moves along.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you so much.
Good luck. Thank you.
It's a bunch of bull, a bunch of BS, because the state has placed the kids with a relative. Well, where was this relative for 5-6 years? That's what people want to know. As the reporter was saying, I'm not trying to pass blame, but where were these relatives exactly? So who's to say how long these kids are going to stay with this relative? Times are hard, and as you see everything that's going on at the White House at the moment, will this person be able to even take care of 3 children? Do they have children of their own? Who is this person? Grandmother, auntie, cousin? Who is this person taking care of these kids? Are they even fit to take care of these kids? Because at this point, we have every right to ask all these questions due to the fact that this knucklehead had 4 kids, and she let one baby daddy raise a baby, a son or whomever, and then poof, 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 she left these 3 alone. So we're talking about 4 children not having a mother, while she's posting pictures on Facebook and IG and wherever she was posting, trying to look cute. Nobody cares. I sure don't care. Miss Kelly Bryant. So let's get down to business. Welcome to the Vault XL. You're now listening to live number 2. Let's get a view of this heathen that decided her children weren't worthy of trying to at least place them in an appropriate home. Pontiac, Michigan, everybody. This is the female who we're talking about, Miss Kelly Marie Bryant. Mugshot. She's facing life in prison, 3 counts of first-degree child abuse of her 3 children, 15, 13, 12. 2 girls and 1 boy. 15-year-old is a boy child. Take a good look. Posing for the camera with our wig and trying to look cute, honey. What do you have to say for yourself, Miss Bryant? Abandoning all 4 of these kids, kids living in squalor. Why? Tell us why. I want to know. I'm going to give you a little background. We're going to go over most of the things that you've heard pertaining to this story, because I'll just be repeating myself. This incident happened at 660 Lydia Lane, Pontiac, Michigan. Don't know where the mother had been staying. Eventually, somebody will probably tell it. They didn't want her identity revealed because they didn't want people, linking the children to her. But naturally, people in the community are going to know who the children are because, as this district attorney says, Pontiac is a small place. Okay? The boy told authorities that he and his 2 sisters had been living alone since 2021, and that the 3 of them survived on prepared food their mother of a stranger would deliver once a week. So she would call like DoorDash or some type of service to drop food off at the house. We do not have proof that this was every week, as you heard the district attorney say. Could have been every other week. Don't really know. All right. He told authorities he had been in contact with his mother, but it appeared she had not seen the girls in years. Why is that? Why didn't she want to make contact with the girls? Help us understand. What was the issue with her not wanting to talk to the girls? She felt guilty, so she figured, well, I'll talk to the boy child. He's older, he can handle things. But how long did she think this roost was going to last of just leaving these kids in squalor and dropping off food? Help me understand. Miss Kelly, can you help me understand? Help me understand, ma'am. The children had not attended school since their abandonment, passing time by watching TV and playing games. When discovered, the children were wearing soiled clothing, matted hair, toenails several inches long, making it challenging to walk. The boys slept on a mattress, while the two girls slept on pizza boxes. The scene was processed by an evidence technician wearing a hazmat suit. Without incident, officials said she told authorities the father of the children was not involved in their lives, but there's more. Neighbors were not aware of the children's living conditions and told authorities they only saw the mother dropping things off at the house. Emma Gross says, this is right in our neighborhood. How could something like this happen? Not immediately clear how school teachers, former school groups, relatives, and friends were unaware of the unfolding drama and failed to step in. Bryant remains held at the Oakland County Jail as prosecutors filed charges against the mother. The children have been placed in the custody of a relative by Child Protective Services. Well, now. Kelly Marie Bryant faces 3 counts, first-degree child abuse of her 3 children, basically teenagers at this point. The fact that these children don't know how to flush a toilet and use hygienic products is very disturbing in this day and time, because we have toddlers that know how to spray perfume and drink from a cup, potty trained, work on iPhones. They woke everybody. And yet these children are preteens and teenagers, and they don't even know how to flush a toilet. I want you to think about that for just a second. The little things we take for granted, such as flushing a toilet, water flushing back into the toilet, running water in your tub, your sink, kitchen sink to wash dishes, take a bath, wash your clothes, washing machine, dryer. Did they have a washing machine, dryer in the house? Was there running water in the house? Help the queen understand. This is a picture of 660 Lydia Lane. Where you see the yellow sign on the window, that is a note from the city, cease and desist. That is to seize the apartment and the of the unit, which is a condo. Feel free to Google this address. It's a very nice neighborhood. Single houses, townhouses are in this neighborhood. Very nice looking place. And sadly, in this nice neighborhood, these residents had no idea that there were 3 children living in squalor. But somebody had to have known or seen something, because as you can see, you've got doors, door there, door there. There's a door down below this door. Somebody had to smell fecal matter, urine, trash. Come on now, let's keep it real. In the back of the building, there is private garages for each unit alongside a garbage can. I showed you the pictures earlier during this live. Help me understand why the children didn't walk outside and empty the trash. They said he's been outside 2 times. Obviously, they feared their biological mother because she told them not to come outside. Okay? It's crazy bad. Okay. Here are pictures of the home. I believe this is a 3-bedroom home. If they have 3 and 2 bedrooms at this location, at this condo building. There are also HO to know who's paying the fees. The guy who owned the apartment, or was she also paying the fees alongside her monthly rent? October was the last time she paid rent. December was the last time that the person who owned the apartment spoke to her. And also, I believe he did not register his property as a rental property, the person who owns it. And you have a lot of explaining to do as well. Fecal matter in the bathtub. That means the children were sitting in there, squatting and using the restroom. Are you believing this? Trash everywhere. This is throughout the house, everybody. Restroom. We're not even going to ask what's that on the wall. Use your imagination, and you can see what was flowing out of the toilet bowl. It's a very sick situation. McDonald said Bryant moved into the Lydia home with 4 children in 2019. At some point in 2021, she moved out of the home and left 3 of the children. The 4th child, a now 9-year-old boy, went to live with his father. So now you got to ask that question. Why did she have the last child sent to his father, but left the 3 alone in this condo? Make it make sense, everybody. Because it says right here, the 4th child, now a 9-year-old boy, went to live with his father. So why did you send that child with his father? I'm curious. All 3 children expressed fear as to what their mother's response would be if they left the home. The defendant concealed the children from family and friends and lied about who was caring for the kids and their whereabouts. The defendant took the active steps of lying and concealing to make sure the children were undiscovered, and she took these actions knowing that her children would suffer serious physical, emotional harm as a result. The evidence shows Bryant effectively abandoned the kids as to a revolting pit of refuse and squalor, as you heard the prosecutor saying. The 15-year-old boy would text his mother when they needed food, but that was the only contact they had, she said. No love. What stands out the most for me is no love, said the prosecutor. No parent, nobody physically present to let them know they were safe and they were loved. When asked about why Bryant may have left the children alone, McDonald said sometimes the why can never be known. The 15-year-old said he had only been outside twice in the 4 years since his mother later left him and his 2 younger sisters in the home. And we learned that he went outside so he could feel the grass, see the grass, and also check the mailbox. Bryant told an Oakland County judge in August of 2022 in a custody case for a 4th child, 9-year-old boy whose father said he never lived in that home, that she was not in a situation where I barely can provide for myself or my children, but she needed time to get back on her feet. She said it was in the best interest of their son that his dad took him. I've practically raised my children alone with less than bare minimum from their fathers, the mother wrote. So I'm going to repeat that again. 9-year-old boy whose father said he never lived in that home, that she was not in a situation where I barely can provide for myself. So what led to this 2022 custody case? Because I'm confused. They're not telling us everything. Did the father see signs of neglect, or the mother decided, well, I know he cares for his son. He'll take the boy. I can't take care of all these children. He's my last. I'll send him to live with his father and let his father take care of him. Is that how this custody case came about? Then one would say, well, why do you need court? Why not just talk to the father? Hey, I can't raise him. I got a lot going on. Do you mind taking him for a little while or until I get myself together? How did it get to court? Because you can have a verbal agreement without going to the courts, just saying. Unless the father didn't trust her and wanted everything legally done. Don't know. She talks about raising the children by herself. We now learned that the other father of these 3 children, he was incarcerated. Don't know how long and what the charges were. But when he got out, the mother would not allow him to see the children. Why? I don't know. It does not appear that any of the 3 children's relatives knew how they were living, Bouchard said, and that's the sheriff. The kid's father was not in the children's lives because Bryant, who had sole legal and physical custody of the children, would not allow it, says the sheriff. The 3 children's father is a different man than the father of the 9-year-old. The 3 kids' father requested a change in custody in March 22, March of 2022, after he was released from prison. According to a motion he filed in Oakland County Circuit Court, he wrote that he had been around in years, but my kids need their father in their life. A couple of neighbors told the Detroit News they had never seen the three children at the residence and were shocked at the revelation. The kids have been placed with a relative by the Department of Health and Human Services, McDonald said. Her office is asking to terminate Bryant's rights to her children. We are simultaneously prosecuting the criminal case against mom and the neglect proceeding pertaining to the kids, McDonald said. So we will be asking our client, the Department of Health and Human Services, to file a petition to terminate her rights. Detroit News is the source. Here is another photograph, or same one, sorry, of the residence with the orange colored sticker on the window. Is where she resided in Pontiac, Michigan. Well, where the children resided. I don't know where she was staying. I think it's interesting. The prosecutor does not want to tell us where this heathen was living, because living with her, I'm sure they are appalled if they had no idea that these children were living in a home alone. Anything could have happened to these kids. They could have been robbed, beat up, sexually assaulted, murdered, anything. And as they say, hey, froze to death, had the heifer not left no heat on, then we'd be talking about triple homicide pertaining to her children. This is a very devastating story. But sadly, there are other children who are living like this in America, and other adults are living like this in squalor with fecal matter, urine, trash, hoarded up situation of debris, shopping bags, clothes, trash. We've heard the stories. You've seen the videos from A&E, hoarders, buried alive, TLC. There are people who actually live like this in America. And my thing is, if this is how you want to live, you need to go out into the country or the middle of the fucking desert, and you can graze like a cow, a donkey, as you see fit, without children and without animals. That's my personal opinion. Because you're not fit to live in the city and city limits, living like a wild ass animal. And as the prosecutor said, no creature should be living in these conditions. But sadly, there are people who live like this with animals. You heard of people hoarding animals, and there's fecal matter, urine all through the house. No doggy pads on the floor. Too lazy to get up and walk their damn dogs. Cat boxes filled with boo-boo in them. Won't empty the litter box. There are people who actually live like this. Some with children, some without. Some with animals, some without. And that's the whole point of life. You don't know people. You don't know how people are living in their homes. And like I said, when you go to the Google search of 6 Lydia Lane, the neighborhood is very nice. I went block for block on the Google Maps, and it's a very nice neighborhood. Very nice neighborhood. A neighborhood that most people would be humbled to live in. So what happened here? Was she paying rent at her other address? How long has she been living at that address? Who stays at that address? Man, woman? She dating anybody? Marrying anybody? How many kids has she had total? How long does she think this roof was going to last, leaving these children alone? How many people knew that the children were living there and didn't say anything? Why didn't anyone call DHS when they didn't see her children? She's posting pictures of herself on social media, but without her children. Stay woke, everybody. Somebody knew that something wasn't right, and I want to know why nobody called DHS. Why nobody went hunting these children down? Did she also get any type of welfare from the state? Because that's going to be another charge. Ding, ding, ding. Hot damn. Shut up, Queen. Shut your mouth. What if we find out she's applied for medical assistance under these children's name, food stamps, any type of welfare check? Did any of the children receive disability? Ding, 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 ding. Check. Stay woke, everybody, because I'm woke. Because she had to be paying the rent some type of way to the landlord. And she had been paying the rent up until October 2024. So that's a long, long time. And there's no way I believe this person would allow her to live in their condo rent-free. So we're going to ask the ultimate questions. Rental assistance through Pontiac, Michigan Housing Corporation or HUD. Did she receive HUD? A voucher, which she only paid a certain amount of rent toward the place. She worked paid rent there, but also lives somewhere else paying rent or some type of rental assistance at another unit? Are we going to find out either the place she was living or this place she got some type of HUD, food stamps, actual cash for the children, any type of disability checks for she or the children? Because she had to be able to pay the rent. And you're talking about maybe $1,600 for rent, plus homeowners association fees. And everybody knows you pay those when you live in certain neighborhoods and condo units. So who paid the HOA? The owner of the apartment or her? Why didn't anyone call about the children to DHS? Hey, I haven't seen her kids. Hey, she's not posting pictures of her children. Hey, I never see her with her kids. She's posting pictures of herself sitting in front of the camera like she's fucking Beyonce. Well, ain't nobody in the comments saying, hey, where your babies at? Where your babies at? Say it again, Queen. Where your babies at? Because folks know they love to be in your business. And anytime you post yourself, you know somebody gonna ask something personal. Where your children? I don't see no picture of your children. Right, exactly. So baby daddy number 2, you didn't question why you didn't see her in pictures of her child? Are y'all Facebook friends? IG friends? Why did you all go to court for your child? I'm curious. Were there issues pertaining to child abuse, neglect? He know the signs, or the child went back and told the daddy, I gotta leave, I don't wanna be there, it's nasty, it's horrible, blah, blah, blah. Because he says his child never lived at this address. So that means they lived somewhere else. Where else have they lived? How long were they there? I'm curious to how she got money. That's the question everybody should be asking. Not just the why she's done this to her children, but how was she able to pay rent from 19, 20, or whatever up until 24 October? Because the bills are getting paid some type of way. And you can best believe the way those children were living, that is not no couple of months of filth. Those kids have been living like that for years. As you've heard, she abandoned them 2020-21. She's a dirty old bird. And I'd like to see where she's been living and how she was living there and who she was living with. I'd like to know who has custody of the children at the moment. How long are they going to be able to keep custody? And why didn't this person not know the state of this home with these kids? And why this person didn't call DHS why they haven't seen the children? See, there's some bullshit here. We also learned that she was supposed to put the kids in one school district but didn't follow through. So now the sheriff is talking about there needs to be a protocol pertaining to leaving one district, going into another. Well, my thing is, if a person says, I'm going to check my kid out of school because we're getting ready to move to Idaho, what jurisdiction do you have? Because it's the old saying, out of sight, out of mind. Now, it's up to the new school. Maybe that would be the protocol. Somebody calls your school and say, hey, I want to enroll my kid in your school. And then they tell you everything you need to get. And then you don't hear from them. Maybe that school puts in a call to DHS to say, hey, I got a call from this person here. They're trying to enroll their kids, but they never showed up. And then maybe law enforcement goes out, DHS, whomever, to try to contact this person. But if it's just a phone call and they're not identifying themselves and saying, oh, yeah, I live over here on 15th Street, how are you going to find them? But I'm assuming she gave them information about herself, her name, names of her children. I'm assuming, I don't know. This is a wicked story. This goes to what I always talk about on this network. You don't know people. People will lie to you. People will deceive you. And this woman is an ultimate deceiver. She's a fraud because she didn't have to live like this and she didn't have to subject her children to this type of filth. And she has shown her children she don't love them. No matter whatever she was going through, mentally, physically, financially, she didn't have to throw her kids out like this. This is pure abandonment. And she is facing life in prison. And I don't have a problem with it, quite frankly, because you're talking about 3 lives. And what can you say? 19 up until the present. Because as someone said, imagine if the landlord had never gone in there. But he was going to have to go in there anyway because he needs his money. And I think that's the only reason why he called law enforcement. Well, I haven't heard anything. She ain't sent me my money. I'll call the law and do a welfare check. And then I'll find out what's really going on inside of my condo. Poof, voila, they walk in there together. And I'm sure the landlord was looking around like, oh my goodness. Yep, bruh, you are fucked. Because you now got to gut this place. 1,300 square feet. You got to take down every sheetrock, countertop, wall, banister, rail, carpet, flooring, ceiling. You've got to gut the entire place because it's contaminated. This is why you need to check on your property if you rent to people. You cannot just assume because they don't call you about something, everything is good in your property. This is a lesson learned. Check your place out periodically. And you put that in the lease. I will check this apartment every 3 months to make sure everything's in working condition. Because one, it is my property. You either like it or you don't. I want to make sure everything's changed. Filters for the heating unit. Make sure there are no leaks. Because you have people who are trifling. They won't call the landlord to say, hey, I got a kitchen leak, a tub leak. And you should know with fecal matter and urine, everything's got to be pulled up. Subflooring and all. As we heard with the Megan Boswell story, the guy who went to clean up Megan's trailer, he said the whole place had to be gutted because it was so filthy. So I'm assuming this is no different. Everything has got to be pulled out. And this person now has to spend a lot of money to refurbish their condo because they were too ornery and not check their own property. You have got to check your property. And for the relatives that knew this, I have a problem with you all not calling DHS to say, hey, I'm seeing this lady on social media. I'm seeing this lady out and about. She don't never got her kids. So what does she do for holidays? Christmas, Thanksgiving, barbecues, 4th of July. She just showed up without her kids. Every holiday, no kids. Easter, no kids. Christmas, no kids. Where did she go for Christmas? Where did she go for Thanksgiving? Can you imagine the children being alone all these holidays? No Christmas gifts, friends, not going to school, not taking baths, hair matted. So you know the apartment probably had bed bugs, roaches. That's why I'm sitting here saying the neighbors should have known something was up. There's no way I believe these other neighbors did not smell something foul through the walls. This is utter BS and you know it. So this is everybody problem. Neighbors, landlord. Hell, even the person bringing the DoorDash, you didn't smell nothing every time you went to the door to drop off food? You just said, well, I don't care, I'm getting paid. Not my problem. Because that's the world we live in. I'm making my money, it don't concern me. But people who know the children, know the mother, somebody should have said something years ago because we already know this filth did not just come about yesterday. And I won't doubt wherever else this heifer has lived, the conditions were probably deplorable there too. So does she have an open CPS record? Besides this court custody with her last child, any cause to DHS of her behavior and neglect of her children? What happened in those cases, if so? And will there be other charges? And will there be other arrests? As you heard the district attorney speaking in this video. They're currently investigating this case. And if need be, somebody else rides the ride, they're going to string their ass up too, as they should. Somebody had to have known about the state of these kids. I just refuse to believe nobody else knew. So nobody ever went to this address when she first moved in. Nobody. Not a boyfriend, lover, girlfriend, friend, relative. Nobody ever went to this address. This is ridiculous. All right, everybody, we're going to go out of here, go to my community page, and we're going to check out an updated story pertaining to a couple that went on a lake in Georgia. The lady was found floating, and the boyfriend is still missing, Mr. Jones. Okay? And this is the sheriff here from Putnam County. I do not care for him. I don't like his attitude. I don't like the way he's talked about the victim as if it's a burden searching for him in the water. That's your damn job. Nobody cares about how much money you're spending to search for him. If you want to call the damn search off, then just call the damn search off and let somebody else come in, because the United Cajun Navy, they're supposed to have went to Georgia yesterday to help in the search of Mr. Jones. But his attitude in speaking about, all the resources we spent to look for a dead person, who talks like that? I'm trying to understand, is it a problem because he's black? What's the problem? You don't want to spend the money. It's out of your budget. And when you look at this video, you look at his desk, he's got paper everywhere, paper coming out of the desk. I'm looking at this man like, you are in no shape to be giving a damn update pertaining to a missing person. Now, that's my feeling right now pertaining to this sheriff. I don't like him. I don't like him one damn bit. Because I don't like his damn attitude.
A newly identified area of Jones was last seen on February 8th. Cadaver dogs have detected possible scent in an area perpendicular to where Jones's shoes were found, floating just upstream from where the body of his fiancee, Jocelyn Wilson's body, was recovered. The area is between 35 and 75 feet deep and densely packed with submerged trees. Recovery efforts a bit challenging. Authorities hope to deploy cadaver dogs again today as the search continues. Joining us this morning with more on this case is Putnam County Sheriff Howard Seals. Sheriff, first of all, thanks for joining us this morning, and thanks for giving us an update on this case. I mean, a lot of people are questioning what's going on, are very interested in the case. So thanks for joining us so far this morning.
Thank you.
All right, let's start with the weather. Will the weather impact the search today, or have any impact on the search today?
It will. It's supposed to start raining here around 10 o'clock.
Look at his desk.
We'll pass
God,
around 1 or 2 o'clock,
Jesus,
so that's going to
So while it's raining, you can't go out? Is that how the weather affects the search?
Well, you could, but it's not optimum conditions for the dogs, as they tell me anyway.
Gotcha. Let's talk about that news, that possible scent. How could this be significant for you guys?
Well, several dogs yesterday. There was a big effort yesterday with several dogs out, and several different dogs all had hits in the same general area. I don't mean the same exact area, but let's say an area 50, 75 yards in circumference. This is out in the standing and fallen timber area, which was in close proximity, not immediately next to where his shoes were found floating in the water. So with that many different dogs hitting, that's a good positive indication. Now, DNR was out with their equipment. The State Patrol was there with their underwater drone operation, and they're looking. But people have got to understand this: the trees just all on top of each other, cross, some still standing, huge root. You look down at your salon or whatever, and these roots could even look like a person. It is a maze of limbs and trunks of trees on the water.
Wow. So this is day 11, if I'm not mistaken, and the body has been in the water. At what point do you think the body could submerge from the water, or would it ever?
There's scientific principles involved here that go back to Archimedes and buoyancy. But given Mr. Jones's weight, body structure, and the temperatures we have there, you can look this up on the internet. Anybody can. The body will surface if it's 40-degree water. Now, it's going to be about 40 degrees if it's down 50 foot or 80 foot or something like that. That's going to be the temperature, because it's only been 48 to 52 at the surface. If that's the case, it takes, on average, between 14 and 24 days. We're just on day 11, so we haven't reached the first window yet.
Gotcha. Now, let me ask you this. Every day we've been hearing something new about the case, something new discovered. Is this still being seen as a death investigation? Are you seeing anything in your work that may determine this could be something bigger?
Not that I can discuss at this time.
Why not?
Had to ask, though. I mean, again.
I don't understand. I mean, The key is finding Mr. Jones's body here. That's going to answer a lot of questions.
One real quick question. The autopsy reports that come back, I mean, how long does that normally take?
Well, it takes months.
That's why you have to do it yourself, girl.
Report, but I have talked with medical examiner.
I'm doing good, Nanny. Thank you.
We have talked, and there are things that she shared with me, and there are things that we are still in consultation about.
Okay.
I don't say right now about that. But again, the key to even some of those things, not necessarily offering science, but maybe we'll hopefully be able to answer when Mr. Jones is back.
Gotcha. Sheriff Seals, really appreciate your insight. Really appreciate you joining us. We're going to be calling you back, of course, because a lot of folks are interested in this case. We are too. And so thank you for any insight that you're able to share. We really appreciate it.
Whatever. I don't like him. I don't like this sheriff one bit. I think he's rude. He's a little more mild-mannered today. I guess he didn't heard people's commentary and the comments under the videos. The way he talked about a damn man is possibly damn dead. So basically, he doesn't want to tell us anything. Why not? What is it that you've learned? Were they still in the hotel or they checked out? See, lots of questions. We hear that snacks, slice of cake was on the boat, woman clutching her phone in the water, his shoes floating. She's on the opposite side of the lake than him. Cadaver dogs have hit on a scent in the water. Welcome to the Vault Excel. Bring you an update on this man. This is the man we're talking about. Black man by the name of Mr. Jones. He's still currently missing, believed to be in the water, Lake Oconee down in Georgia, everybody. All right. This is now the 11th day pertaining to the search for Mr. Gary Jones. Fiancée Jocelyn Wilson disappeared Lake Oconee, both of them, February 8th. Wilson, a Spelman College faculty member, this is the female, she was found deceased a day after the boat was found circling near Wallace Dam, but the search for Jones continues. So far, only his shoes have surfaced. Now, I believe her body floated up Monday. The case has some unresolved elements, with the sheriff previously saying the circumstances in this case indicate it's not just a simple drowning. Chelsea asked Wednesday if it was still being treated as a death investigation, Chesley, or if it perhaps could be something bigger. Not that I can discuss at this time, the sheriff said. The key is finding Mr. Jones' body here. That's going to answer a lot of questions. The sheriff has not outlined the full scope of questions that investigators may have. He said Wednesday that while a full written autopsy takes several months, he has spoken to GBI medical examiner and learned some of the findings. However, he said what he could share was limited. So what did they find in the body of the decedent Miss Wilson? Blunt force trauma, gunshot, strangulation, or she fell in the water and she drowned. What have they found so far? He doesn't want to say, Sheriff Seals. There remain technical complications with that, according to the sheriff. Cody Alcorn, who works for 11 Alive, says on Tuesday that cadaver dogs did detect possible scent in an area perpendicular to where Jones' shoes were found floating and just upstream from where his fiancée, Miss Wilson's body was recovered. Once again, different dogs hit at the same general area, which he described as about 50 to 75 yards in circumference. He called it a positive indication, as the search will continue Wednesday. Authorities plan to deploy cadaver dogs again on Wednesday, and Sheriff Seals at Georgia Department of Natural Resources was out on Tuesday with equipment, as well as Georgia State Patrol with underwater drone services devices. The area is between 35 and 75 feet deep and densely packed with submerged trees, making search and recovery efforts challenging. The sheriff also outlined Wednesday in his interview that given the water temperatures and depths, it might not be expected that a body of Jones' size would surface naturally until a window of about 14 to 24 days. Rain in the late morning and afternoon will also create some difficulty on Wednesday. So how long will the sheriff and this county continue searching for Mr. Jones? Because at this point, I'm just going to be truthful. I feel like the search for this black man is a burden to Mr. Sheriff and his county, and that's how it appears to me. His attitude and his wording pertaining to, we've got people diving looking for a dead person. So most of us are saying, well, how do you know he's dead? What proof do you have that he's in the water? But it's just the wording was so callous pertaining to somebody who's possibly dead in the water. Jones, a coach at Westminster Schools in Atlanta, and Wilson, a mathematics instructor at Spelman College, vanished February 8, 2025. A 12-foot John boat they were in was found circling near Wallace Dam. Seals has said Jones and Wilson traveled to the lake Saturday, February 8th to celebrate Jones' 50th birthday. This is the man. The couple checked into a hotel before heading straight to Fishtail Marina in Eatonton, where security cameras captured them launching their small boat into Lick Creek at approximately 3:30. At around 5:30 p.m., boaters in Richland Creek, a major tributary to the Oconee River in Lake Oconee, spotted an empty 12-foot John boat idling in circles. So we're now talking about 2 hours later, okay? 2 hours later, the boat is now circling, and the inhabitants are not sure what happened. He said Wilson had air in her lungs at the time of recovery, a detail that could provide insight into what happened in the water. Jerry Dworkin, an expert in aquatic safety and water rescue, provided possible explanations for the findings in this case. Dworkin explained Wilson could have potentially died from hypothermia. It's one possible explanation for the air in her lungs. Dworkin said that during hypothermia incident, laryngeal spasm, a reflexive closure of the airway upon cold water contact, can trap air in the lungs, contributing to buoyancy. And if many of you who have ever taken a cold shower, I know everybody's different, but you react different to cold water, because I can say that. A cold shower versus a hot shower is totally different. It's almost like your airway is cut off if you were to take a cold shower. I don't know what it is about cold water, but I can honestly say I've done it, taken a cold shower, and I literally damn near stopped breathing. It's just something about the cold water. Can't breathe in taking a cold shower. Go figure. Some people can do it. I can't. In the water. How did she get into the water? Dworkin emphasized the critical 1-10 rule in cold water immersion. 1 minute to control breathing, 10 minutes of purposeful movement before incapacitation, and up to 1 hour before hypothermia becomes fatal. It has also emerged that Wilson was clutching her cell phone when she was found. Dworkin suggested that if she succumbed to the hypothermia, muscle rigidity could cause her to maintain her grip. Now, one person in the article or under a video said perhaps she fell in the water with the phone, but was already dead on the boat. I don't know, because you got to count rigor mortis. So I don't know. Was she dead already on the boat? Because they're talking about 2 hours of finding the boat later from the time they jumped in the boat didn't have nobody in it. So was she already dead when she fell into the water and she just so happened to have the phone in her hand? I'm not really sure. Okay, in another new development, volunteers located a man who saw the boat on Saturday around 4:30 p.m. Sheriff Seals said he interviewed the man on Tuesday, but the man was unable to provide any new details about what happened. However, he helped confirm the timeline of events. The witness was working on a home under construction when he recalled noticing the boat due to its high-pitched engine noise. The 12-foot John boat was equipped with an 18-horsepower air-cooled two-stroke motor, which Seals described as distinctly noticeable. The man, however, could not make out who was in the boat due to the distance. This update is by 11 Alive News Atlanta. Wow, 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 wow. Gary Jones, are you in this water? What happened on that boat, sir? Miss Wilson, what happened on that boat? Did they argue on the boat? Was this a suicide homicide mission? Did somebody get to acting erratic, started fighting, fussing? Did she hit the man while he's driving the boat? Lost control, he fell out. She fell out. Was she pushed out, jumped out? Are we going to find out that this is foul play? That one or the other one killed the other one? Pushed out, jumped out. What happened? It was his 50th birthday on a boat in the cold. Don't know if it was how cold it was. People are saying that too. Why are people on a boat when it's cold? Don't really know. Don't really know the temperature of Atlanta February 8th. We'd have to Google to find out. So, while I'm here, We'll Google. Only way you're gonna know. "72 degrees. Cloudy with occasional rain showers. Daily high temperatures have increased 64 Fahrenheit, daily low temperatures 43. So it's 72 degrees. So for people who were commenting under these videos saying why were they out there in the cold, it wasn't cold that day. It was 72 degrees, February 8th. Checkmate. So that's possibly why they went out on the boat, because it wasn't cold. So what happened on that boat? Services will be in order for the late Miss Wilson. This is the woman that was dating Gary Jones. She is no longer alive. She was found floating in Lake Oconee earlier this week. Instructor at Spelman College, all-black university. Her obituary reads, she was born in Atlanta in 1975, educated in Atlanta public school system and graduated from Benjamin E. Mays High School in 1993. Mayor Andre Dickens, who was also a graduate of Mays, mentioned Wilson during an interview with Good Day Atlanta on Wednesday morning. After high school, Wilson furthered her education, earning bachelor and master's degrees at Clark Atlanta University. She earned a second master's degree from University of Maryland. She was a professor at Howard University and the University of Maryland in Washington, D.C. before returning to Atlanta and becoming an instructor at Spelman. Wilson was a lifelong member of Zion Hills Baptist Church and a member of the Voices Alua Choir and New Disciples Ministry. She liked to skydive, fly planes, read, host game nights, attend New Edition concerts, cheer on the Atlanta Braves, and travel. She is survived by her parents, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, and others. Celebration of Life is to be held at 11 a.m. February 20th at Zion Hill Baptist Church, Campbellton Road. That is tomorrow. Although she was reportedly engaged to Gary Jones, there is no mention of him in her online obituary. Well. What's next? Search efforts will continue using dive teams, search dogs, sonar technology in hopes of finding Jones. Investigators remain committed to finding answers for the couple's family and friends as the search for Jones continues. Authorities urge anyone with information to come forward. Now we know that something is not right with this story. Why was he not mentioned in her obituary as her fiance? Checkmate. Because there's always somebody that knows something about a person's relationship or something that was told to them. Everything is about perception. You either believe what's been said or you don't. So were these two on the out, and this birthday trip on the boat was to mend a broken or fractured relationship? The plot. This is really deep now, honey. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Why was he not mentioned, family? Somebody come talk to the queen, because I'm curious now. You have a dead woman that you're about to bury, and you don't put her boyfriend in the obituary. Why not? Help me understand. This ain't good. And then we have Mr. Seals here. He don't want to talk about what they found preliminary autopsy. Is this murder? And they have told the family what they have found thus far, which appears to be homicide. And this is in her obituary. We are not about to put a murderer as a fiance in our family member's obituary, which makes sense. Did he take her out there deliberately to kill her? Mr. Jones. If only the water could talk. Tell us what happened. Was this a reconciliation that went terribly wrong on the boat? So let's go here. He set this up to kill her because he knew she didn't want to be with him anymore. She wasn't happy. Maybe she told him, I don't want to be with you. They broke up. Infidelity, another woman, another man. You already know what they say about the men down there in Atlanta. They're on the damn down low. Was he messing around with a man? We're going to go ahead and talk about it, honey. Was he messing around with another man, another woman? Shut your mouth. Lord have mercy. What happened between these two? Because him not being in an obituary tells the story. That's why old chubby fella here been talking in circles the past couple of days. Maybe that's why he has an attitude towards Mr. Jones. I'm tired of us looking for him. He kept that woman. Is that what's going on with you, Mr. Seals? You've been talking in circles because you know he murdered her, and you tired of your county spending money to look for a murderer? Checkmate. Come on with it, Queen. Woo-hoo-hoo. Hot damn. The block is hot. I believe that's what this is about. Mr. Seals, if I'm wrong, I stand corrected. I don't got a problem. Is that why you've been kind of nasty about Mr. Jones and the search for this black man? Because I thought maybe it's because he was black. I didn't know what the hell was going on. We got divers looking for a dead man. Okay, well, what's the problem? He dead. We're supposed to look for him. That's your damn job. Or is it because you know more to the story that you can't tell us? Because you know he unalived this black lady, and you feel like, hell, we wasting our time. Let his ass stay down there. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? It's a tragedy nonetheless. 2 people in the water. One floated up, one ain't. Some people thought he's alive. He made it to shore, hiding out. But dogs have hit on a scent in the water. Perhaps he's tangled up in the debris under the water. Trees are up under there. So perhaps he hasn't floated up because he's gotten tangled up down there. Either way, he needs to come on up. Because as they say, he's a child of God. He belongs to somebody. What does his family have to say? Now, what do you all have to say about his name not being in Miss Wilson's obituary? This is some nasty business. That's why I always tell you all, you don't know people. Lord knows the Queen can testify 12 times over about not knowing folks. Shut your mouth. Because you don't know people. Because what people do versus what they say, 2 different things. People lie. People deceive. People manipulate. People con. It's the nature of the beast. You don't know who you're talking to, who you're laying with, who you're sleeping with, who you're playing house with. That's why it's called true crime. You don't know people. And this is a sad, sad story of 2 people who were dating, but possibly something went awry in their relationship, and now they're not here. And we have people searching for them, dive team, cadaver dogs, trying to find this Mr. Jones. Once again, the services for Miss Jocelyn Wilson will be tomorrow, 11 a.m. Condolences to the family. Prayers for answers. Zion Hill Baptist Church, Campbellton Road, 11 a.m. If you want to attend, anyone in the Atlanta general area. She seemed to be a very educated black lady, Miss Jocelyn. Got degrees. Instructor. He also worked for the school system as a coach. Let me tell you something about Queen. I'm a very good observer. If you've been on this network with this Queen for many years, you know I'm a very good observer of people. How they act, how they talk, how they walk, how they look. And something that struck me interesting about this case is the fact that they have surveillance of Mr. Jones with his shoes untied. Now, a lot of you are going to say, well, Queen, what's the relevance? I'm going to tell you. Why would I go out on a boat with my shoes untied? Okay? Why would I go out on a boat with my shoes untied? A Jean boat at that. We're not even talking about a lavish type boat. It's a pond boat. You're taking a pond boat on a river, a lake 80 feet deep. So as you heard the sheriff say earlier in the week, it's not the type of boat that you take out on a river and a massive-sized lake. But obviously he knew about boats because he owned the boat. If you did not know that, the boat does belong to Mr. Jones, the Jean boat, 12-foot long boat. But why were his shoes untied? So I know you were saying, Queen, where are you going? I don't think it's a good idea to put a boat into the water, launch a boat, and your shoes aren't tied. So what came to Queen's mind was somebody who's probably disoriented in the brain, if you get my drift. Somebody who's got mental issues. Have you ever seen people walking around with their shoes untied? Come on with it, Queen, because somebody ain't listening. What is the first thing you said when you saw somebody grown with their shoes untied? Not a child, not a toddler, but an adult. Why your shoes ain't tied, bro? Miss Lady, why you ain't got your shoes tied? Come on with it, Queen, because somebody don't hear you. I want somebody in the chat to answer it. I get tired of answering stuff. Somebody in the chat tell me why your shoes will be untied as an adult, a 50-year-old man. 23 people watching. Come on now. Why would your shoes be untied knowing you're going to be going on a small boat, massive amount of water? You got to launch that bad boy. You want to make sure you don't slip, you don't fall. Shoes untied. Well, I'll answer since nobody wants to answer. He didn't care about himself. Ting, ting, ting. That's what I'm gathering. Mr. Jones didn't care about himself. Okay? Because I just don't understand not being laced up to get on a boat, especially a TikTok boat. I want to make sure all my shoes are carefully on my feet, as so I don't fall, slide, bump my head. You see where I'm going? To me, it appears that possibly this man didn't care about himself. He was a carefree spirit, or somebody possibly damn deranged. That's just what I'm gathering in my brain. So I think he might have been disoriented mentally because of whatever was going on with he and this woman, and he was frantic because the shoes not being tied is very strange to me. They have him on camera before ever making it to the dock with his shoes untied. Why? Why not? So he got on that boat with his shoes untied, if you did not know that. And it's just strange to me. A grown-ass man not tying up his shoes before leaving the hotel. So did they fully check out of the hotel? Don't know. Haven't heard anything about that. So Mr. Seals, why don't you bring us that little bit of tea? That they fully checked out of the hotel. If they didn't check out, what was left behind? Was there a point to return to the hotel? Don't know. Was there a point to take this trip to unalive somebody? Did he take her on this trip to unalive her? Why? Why this way? Why not on ground? Was this man suicidal? Was she suicidal? Did she flip out on the boat? Wigged out, got mad. He's steering the boat. She jumps up, starts screaming, hitting him, beating him. He loses control. They fall out of the boat. Come on. They said the boat was not injured. It didn't hit anything. It didn't hit another vessel or rock. The boat was idling and spinning in circles. What the hell happened out on this water? Somebody says it seems like it was planned. Possibly was. That's why Mr. Seals is not talking to the public to tell us what he's learned. So we don't know if he left an itinerary through his phone, cell phone, iPad, a note at his house. She left a note. See, we don't know. And that's what's going to be self-evidentary. What's in her phone, what's in his phone, devices. Suicide note, suicide mission, depression, schizophrenia. Somebody's not mentally well. Somebody's angry, somebody's mad, somebody's jealous. What happened with these two people? The fact that her phone was in her hand is very interesting. Just as interesting as the fact that He ain't in her obituary. Shut your mouth. A dead woman in a lake with a phone in her hand. You don't hear that every day. Air in her lungs, meaning not necessarily did she drown. So now we got to ask, was she thrown in the water dead or alive? Got cold in the water, couldn't swim, panicked. Got to ask that too. Could she swim? But why was that phone in her hand? That's creepy as hell. That's almost like those stories where you hear the dead person had somebody's hair in their fingers. Do the DNA. It's a link to somebody that they knew, dated, somebody. That phone in her hand is, woo, honey, it's like a smoking gun. So we know she entered the water with the phone in her hand. So once again, was she alive or dead with the phone in her hand? Because if she's been dead an hour or so on the boat, you can see why the phone will be still clutched in her hand. Rigor mortis is set in. Come on with it, Queen. What did we find out? As soon as they got on the boat, he unalived her, and he's just riding on the lake with a dead woman. Woo! Shut your mouth. Put it together. Fighting on the boat, he threw a phone in the water. She jumped in to retrieve the phone. We're going to throw out every possibility. But I don't see no black woman jumping in no damn water for no phone. I'm going to tell you that now. I don't care if you can swim. But they say she was adventurous, skydiving, so I assume she knew how to swim. So were they arguing on a boat? Or he docked the boat, cut the boat off, came up behind her with a string or something, strangled her, choked her. And that boat's not a big boat. I can see the rocking that boat. Maybe it tipped over. I don't know. Help me out. Help me out. But something happened on that boat, and I don't think it was something nice. Because the fact that her phone was in her hand leads me to believe that this woman was in a very dire situation before she fell or was pushed into the water. She fell in the water, she was pushed in the water, or she jumped in the water. Okay? And perhaps she jumped trying to get to safety. Pushed in the water by Mr. Jones. She fell out the boat, wrestling and tussling with Mr. Jones. See, we don't know. But that phone tells us possibly she was already dead before hitting the water. She never sank to the bottom and then came back up. She was found first. He's still missing. So did he just jump in the water somewhere because he knew he couldn't go back to the world without her? How was he going to explain going out on a boat with her? Because she probably told people, hey, I'm going out on a boat with him, blah, blah, blah. How was he going to come back without her? And he knew her body was going to float to the top. So I'll just jump in the water, kill myself. I don't know. This is all crazy to me. Hello, Auntie M. What happened on that boat February 8th? Was this a planned murder, or was this a planned homicide, suicide by Mr. Jones? Were they not on good terms? Were they reconciling? Had they been broken up? Another thing, could have been apart for some time. He wanted to get back with her. He missed her. Or could it be she wowed it out? I don't know. I just think the phone in her hand leads me to believe there was something amiss on the boat, which made her hold on to that phone for dear life. And I think perhaps Mr. Jones was the perpetrator, and that's why his name is not in her obituary as her fiance. That's my commentary. The first part of this live stream is pertaining to a dirty black bird out of Pontiac, Michigan, who neglected her 3 children in a condo. She left her children there for years without food, water, toiletries, No way to bathe, wash their clothes, no supervision, no school, no love, no interaction with the outside world. They each had cell phones, which is very bizarre to me. The fact they never called 911, no family members to tell them what they were going through. The fact nobody called DHS to inquire about the children. The fact the landlord never checked the fucking condo. The fact the school never asked why the kids never came to the new school. It's all baffling to me. She had children, and one was already living with his biological father. There are two different baby daddies. One baby daddy had been in prison. He came out wanting to be in the lives of his children, but she would not allow her children to see him. Why, I do not know. She is now in a county jail facing 3 counts of first-degree child abuse of those 3 children. 15-year-old boy, 13-year-old girl, 12-year-old girl, rightfully so. Give this bitch the max. She is facing life in prison for child abuse and neglect of her 3 children. Why didn't somebody call about this woman and these kids? Make it make sense. Because there is a loop in this story, a hole in this story. And the fact that the state has given the children temporarily to a relative, I say hell no. I want to know who this person is, and I want to know why you didn't know these children were living in squalor for years. Where were you? Are you a distant relative? A third cousin? Where's her mother, father? Where are these children's other grandparents on the father's side? Uncles, aunties. The neighbors, you didn't smell anything. Landlord, you didn't check on your own fucking apartment. This is crazy to me. But you know this is going on, and it's been going on before COVID, after COVID, and that has been said so many times since COVID. There are probably many children who have not been back to school, abused, neglected, murdered, dead, adults, disabled adults, because people didn't have to verify anything during COVID. And they could use it as an excuse. Oh, I'm scared of COVID. I don't want to send my kid to school. Oh, I don't want my mom and dad out the house because I'm scared of COVID. Good reason to use it for abuse and murder. COVID was the best reason to use for a cover-up of abuse, neglect of children and adults. Hey, where's your husband? Oh, he's in the bed sick. Where's your husband? Oh, he can't come out. We don't want any germs. Where's your mom? Oh, she's upstairs, but we don't want COVID. How many people right now are actually dead from a cover-up, and COVID was used as a ruse? Stay woke. This is scary as hell. And when you look at the pictures of this condo, it is just disturbing that these children live in such horrible conditions. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Once again, before I check out of here, this is live number 2. I want to thank you all so much for listening to this content. Check out my earlier live pertaining to this case out of Pontiac, Michigan. Abuse of said children by a very dirty, dirty heathen who didn't care anything about her children. 34-year-old black woman, Kelly Bryant. Her children resided at 660 Lydia Lane. Very nice neighborhood, very nice apartments. As you can see, there's one on top, one on bottom. Very nice neighborhood. Feel free to go into Google search. It's a very lovely neighborhood. And nobody knew about this best kept of 3 black children abandoned, deprived of love, food, water, shelter. Because this wasn't really shelter, in my opinion. It's just a cave, a dark cave in a nice neighborhood. And nobody knew they were in there. That's another thing. Nobody even saw the damn kids. It's ridiculous. Here's a picture of the bio mother. 34 years of age. Well, sister, you don't have to worry about any more lace front wigs, makeup, eyelashes. It's a wrap, Miss Bryant. You will have to now go before the judge and explain to him or her why you abandoned your 3 children for years and left them without the necessities of life, including love and nurture from a mother. And whoever had been dealing with you, you ought to feel hoodwinked and bamboozled, that you now know her dirty little secret times 3, or shall I say times 4, because she now has 4 children to explain why she has abandoned all 4. And luckily for her 4th child, he was able to live with his bio father. The other children have a separate father who she would not allow him to see the children. What a dog. What a dog. One more time. I'm going to show you conditions of this home. This is what Kelly Bryant thought of her 3 children. The audacity to send one child, her last one, to his father to live years ago, versus leaving 3 children in this squalor in a very nice condo in Pontiac, Michigan. Fecal matter in the bathtub, fecal matter in the toilet. Children were not able to use the bathroom. And when the police entered the apartment, they found the girls hiding in this nasty, filthy bathroom. And the brother was hiding in another room. It is believed the children feared their mother because she told them not to ever tell anyone or come outside of that condo. How long did she think this ruse was going to last? I don't know. But the jig is up. The cat is out of the bag. The world now knows you are a filthy motherfucker, and you deserve every day in prison, day for day, until there is no breath left in you, madam. You deserve just what you gave these 3 kids. You deserve to live in the same squalor. And that should be your punishment. To take you back and let you live in a place just like this and lock the door where you can't get out. You have no way out. No way out. But our law says no cruel and unusual punishments. Like, share, subscribe. Drop your comments below this video. Take the polls on my community page. Follow the Queen on the Newsbreak app. I will put up a short pertaining to this story. And also Miss Jocelyn, whose funeral is tomorrow, who floated up in the lake. And then Mr. Jones, I'll have a short made about them here in a few minutes. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Beganji. 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats always welcome during the live stream. Condolences to Miss Wilson. Prayers that Mr. Jones is found. Don't know the situation. I might have to recant my prayers, but nonetheless, I don't know what happened, but he is assumed to be still in those waters. And also prayers for these 3 children, that they are in good care of whomever, that they will be safe until they are 18 years of age, and justice for them. And I pray that the mother, she does get life in prison, because she does not deserve to ever walk free from penitentiary after what she's done to her 3 children. She does not deserve that luxury. She stole these children's lives, pivotal lives, that these children could be out here enjoying themselves and having a good time like normal children. But instead, she cheated them of that. So she does not deserve to ever walk outside of a penitentiary. That's my personal opinion. Now, I won't doubt somewhere down the line, they'll give her a healthy sentence and somebody will be nice enough, such as a governor, that'll free her and pardon her out. But she needs to go down. To me, she's a rabid dog. And she needs to do an extensive amount of time in prison for neglecting these children. Hello, Perspective. Thank you for joining me. You all have a wonderful evening. I might come back later with another live stream. There's another allegation suit pertaining to Sean Puffy Combs. Just as quick as one went down last Friday between he and Jay-Z, that lady dropped her lawsuit against the two. Now there is another one on the books. And also, Wendy Williams has touched down to see her father, but there are rumors that there was liquor on the table. Don't know if that's true or not. I didn't see any liquor in front of her plate, but you know, folks got to make up stuff. So we will see if there's any verification that Wendy Williams drank anything. Nobody in their right mind should give her alcohol knowing she's trying to get her guardianship removed. You all gave her liquor, then you obviously don't want her free. And I'll just say that. Now, did she ask for alcohol? I don't know. I wasn't there. But I'm praying that nobody gave her alcohol. That's my commentary, everybody. For a week, and I'll talk to you guys later. You have been listening to the Vault XL.